Hey, welcome to the tech capital of the world, Kernersville, North Carolina. My name is Bobby Davis. Hey, Kevin, it is a beautiful day today. So let's talk about getting people jobs. Summer is here. A lot of people trying to find some stuff. Our advice, I think, is really good. I mean, like, I feel like when we see our students out there looking around and they're
Right. We're
trying
gonna
to
use
like
that's
find
we're gonna use a
jobs.
student example today.
Yeah.
So
And so, like, I do think it's the hidden meta, maybe, or maybe it's the not so hidden meta that not everyone knows about. So, like, I do think it's really beneficial to find a job is finding the right projects on your portfolio, the projects that resonate with an employer. We're going to go through five specific ones, but we're also going to put them in types so that you can say, okay, I don't want to build that one, but like if I follow these guidelines, I can build a project like
right,
this that
that's the
will
thing.
do the
There's
same thing.
there's there's a reason why we kind of advise that you build these projects, and these are just a version of that reason why. Right.
Yep.
That's kind of the thing.
Mhm.
So
And we
full
continue to
disclosure.
see these work for code foundry students. So like, and so like
Exactly. So that's
the
that's kind of
students
what I want to
writing.
disclose is what I want to disclose is the project that we're going to talk about are in we build them. They're in our boot camp. We build
Right.
them. And then we're not talking about them because they're in a boot camp. We're talking about them because they're good. That's why we put them in the boot camp. we
Right.
we
And
have
so
full
like,
control over everything that we teach here. There's no
right.
like there's it's not controlled by anybody other than Bobby.
Right.
Whatever you decide goes, and that's the reason these projects are in here. So yeah, we're gonna demo
And
like through a student's version of these that they've built who just got hired, which you'll talk about at some point, I'm sure.
yeah, exactly. He just got a job. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, he doesn't know we're doing this, by the way. So
He doesn't.
if he's watching this,
He
I don't
probably
know who
is.
you are yet,
We
but you'll know
usually
who you are in
start.
a second.
Yeah.
Any kind of thing you want to say before we jump into these? Then, any kind of just sort of like overall kind of like reasoning around bigger picture
Yeah.
why we choose these.
Yeah. So big picture, think about your portfolio as a way to pitch your skills. And one of the worst advice I see is build a project that interests you. And people say that all the time. Like you got to build your passion project, build a project that interests you,
Yeah,
or you'll quit. The coding is the fun part in my general opinion. Like if you don't like coding and you only can work on a project that interests you, then you're not going to make it as a developer in the industry. All right. So coding, the act of creating, the act of building it should be the fun part. So if your face doesn't light up when the text goes on the screen, whether that's you're showing an address list or, Pokemon characters, if it has to be Pokemon characters, it probably is not for you. But so we want to build projects that resonate with the hiring manager who finds them interesting. So I think that is the way that way you do it. In other words, like you do dress for a date and comfortable in clothes that you feel comfortable in, but at the same time too, you got to impress the date. So like you can't just put anything on and do whatever. Of course, Brad Pitt looks good and everything, but some of us have to work at it. So like we need to work on our
well,
portfolio a
let's
little
just
bit.
say Brad Pitt is okay. Everybody else has to work at it.
That's right. Yeah. So he can wear a T-shirt with holes in it, and everyone's like, "Wow, that's a great look. Can I buy a shirt like that?" Like,
Yeah, and you show
good
up to the
work,
date and that, and be like,
man. What
"Do
is
you
that
even have a
shirt, dude?
car?"
You
you know.
don't have a new shirt you can put on. So
Yeah, so we're gonna
mhm.
use student Ryan's portfolio of
Yeah,
projects today. Talk about the five kind of projects. One of them we're not. We're gonna use four of his, and one of them we're gonna have to talk about more abstract because we're
a new
actually
one.
working on it. A new
Yeah,
one,
we're working on
and
it
we'll
right.
talk
A
about
new
that one.
project that
Yeah, we'll talk about that
there's a
one
new
second.
category that you should put out there.
Yep,
So
exactly. So let's start with this first step. Then let's talk about the address book app.
okay. Yeah.
Why
So
why is this a good app? I mean, I know what it is. I have an idea. It's a list of people, right? And names and numbers and things. Why is it good?
right. So the first thing we do at Coder Founders is that we're building full stack applications. So when you have a full stack application, that means it has a database. You have to log in. You have a security system. All of these things that go into this. But you can start simpler and then move to more complex. As you'll see, we'll go up in complexity as we go through these projects.
Right.
So address book is a way for us to show you how this pattern kind of works, how to connect to a database with something very familiar to the student and to the employer. So an address book You have it on your phone. It's easily recognizable, and then someone can look at it right away and go, "Oh, okay, that's kind of cool." Here's some, and we can log in here to show his demo
Yeah, I
here.
actually did log in already, but this
Yeah,
does have this
already
is
logged in.
behind a login. I pulled this up.
Yeah.
But here's his contact.
So he's got some contacts in here, and you can search. You can see that we use real people here, and
Well, real people.
yeah, but look, they're
Right,
not
that's a
Marvel
point.
heroes. They're not Pokemon. They're not. So it looks realistic when you look at it, and that's what I'm saying. My rule number one is if you build a full stack app, use real data. So we can click on here, and we can look at. Just click on Claudia there, and let's get
How do
edit
I?
mode.
Well, I
Yeah,
can't like Well, this is just a card, right? I can edit
yeah,
her.
yeah,
I can email her, or I can delete her. So I'm guessing if I
yeah.
go to edit, right?
Yeah, and it'll go to a different little view here. So now we have like the view, and we can put in what category she belongs to, those kind of things. So this works because people know what address book's supposed to do. And then we also have some email capability where you can email out of this. You could email someone from your contact list. You can email a group. So you can say, I want to email all my friends and tell them to come over Friday night. And so that's a couple of things that we do. So like hit email there.
Okay, I can just click this.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can just email her right there. It'll send a real email out and those kind of things. So it's functional. It solves a problem, and when someone looks at it, they immediately know what it's supposed to do. And so that's another thing. Then we have some unique things like categories where you can email a category.
Yeah,
So he's
do
in the
that.
bowling league,
And
so
I
you can
can
filter.
by category. Okay.
Yep, pretty
See
simple.
my boys in the
Yep.
bowling league.
The other thing too is like, so let's say that you come to Coder Foundry or you come to a course that's not Coder Foundry, you're taking a course and they've got a good project that you like. Um, what we always tell people is go ahead and brand it. So he's called his Address Book Plus. In the course, we call it Contact Pro if you look at it.
Yep.
So take the time to like make a new logo, make a new landing page, change it up, own it for yourself. And therefore, it doesn't look like, oh, you can just make a tutorial. So if you can take a tutorial and change it, it shows more capabilities than most have. And most of it's just front end changes, so we can just change it up. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's Address Book. So it's a good way to break in with full stack and be your first full type project. It's got CRUD, which is create, read, update, delete. That's what CRUD stands for. Which means we can show them, we can update them, we can delete them, and we can make new ones. So pretty easy. We got search built in.
Yep,
which is kind of cool.
Which works
right?
great. And what's the email service that you use? Yeah.
So we're basically on the back end. We use an email provider like SMTP provider, and then you log into your email address. So you can use Google. So we're using Google.
Oh wow, okay, that's interesting.
Yep. So you can pull over into Google. Now you can put in a professional email service on the back end. You're sending a bunch like SendGrid or something like that. But that's something that we just use Google because everyone has one. It makes it.
I just wondered if it's searched by address. It doesn't, does it?
No, I
Just
don't
by
think
name.
so. But we
Which
could
would be
customize
weird, but
it.
you could, right? You're right. That's something you
Yeah.
could do with this. Yeah, I think that could be
Yeah.
interesting. Because you get all the people that live in a certain state or something could be kind of interesting. Like that's another
Yeah.
way to. There's a million ways you could think about extending these kind of apps too. That's the way I always
Yeah.
think about these. I always think about, oh, that's cool. Wouldn't that be cool? That's cool. That's cool. You go down this rabbit hole of like adding a million different features. Which if you want to
Yeah.
and you have time, great, have at it. Like
I love it that Nathan Fillion there is in Almost Heaven, West Virginia. He should have renamed him to John Denver, but like if you want to go full meta in there, have the it's kind of
Oh,
sick.
that's funny. Yeah, but I agree with this part about like making this. Although these are like obviously like actors' names or whatever, right? I get it.
They're
but-
actually voice actors from Destiny, but like
okay. So, well, there you go. So, but it's like, but the fact that they're actual like names with a picture attached to them, and it doesn't just say user 123, and
Right.
it's just like
Mhm.
it's kind of like he's mixed it up a little bit here with this, and makes it look just better, doesn't it? It just feels more like an actual application. And the other thing too, going back to here, another thing that we talk about as well is how that this is branded. And we actually give you this as part of the when you build this app in the course too. You kind of build out this page as well, this kind of landing page, right? We think landing pages are important for an application because it makes it seem more professional.
Yeah. And it shows you what it's built with and what it's in and that kind of stuff. And
Yep.
it looks like, so what this does is instead of you making a nondescript app page that you come in and you just have an app and you say, I don't pay attention to the UI. Um, just remember when you're working for a company, they build products and the product has to be finished. And so like this shows completeness, attention to detail, that you can do all the things necessary to bring an app to production. And that includes the UI and that includes the UX. It includes everything. So how to get it hosted and those kind of things. And that's why we say you can't just show a GitHub repo with this in there because no one's going to download it and deploy it and get it working. So make sure it's hosted so they can actually use it. And then you have demo logins so that they can like easily use your app.
So I see this is hosted on Railways. That's free.
Railway,
hosting.
Yeah. So we actually in our self-paced course we show you how to host on Railway or Heroku. Pick your poison, whatever you want to do now. There's no free ones for.
Oh yeah, you're right. That isn't free, but it's still cheap though, right? We have what's the price? Do you remember? It's like it's not expensive, is it? Okay.
Under 10 usually if you're getting all of your apps on there.
Yeah.
So works really well.
And it's fast too. We've noticed Railway's definitely faster than Heroku. That's for sure.
Yep.
Okay, the second app then, which we don't have a demo for. We're going to talk about this a little bit more abstractly. So what's your second app choice?
So let's put it in a class, and then we're going to go specific of like why we picked what we did. So first and foremost, you should build an app that connects to a third-party API. So there's a lot of APIs out there.
We've built like the weather one before, right?
Weather, I mean, and you see people doing this with Pokemon API, which I don't recommend. We'll talk about in a second. Star Wars API, I don't recommend. Marvel API, I've done that before. I don't recommend it. So what we want to do is pick an API that solves a problem of some sort, and that's a business problem. So a Pokemon API doesn't solve any problem whatsoever. It just displays.
Well, you got to get them all. So
yeah, it just displays the characters, and that's it. I mean, it doesn't do anything. And so we want to make something that has utility. So Bitcoin API kind of works. We've seen those where they have like,
those have been
shows
good.
you the prices, trading APIs where you can look at stock prices, make a stock trader, build a fictional trading platform. All of those contact APIs. But
what's the super hot API at the minute? You know, there's one. Everybody knows this before we even say it. They have to. Everybody knows what this is, right? There's one super hot API right now.
Yeah, and it's OpenAI. And so like you can build an AI-focused project by signing up for the AI with OpenAI. Now, this is going to cost you some money to do.
It's not pennies.
Free, but it is pennies for chat. So chat under 3.5 is very inexpensive to do, so it's pennies to do. You also can do image generation, which is DALL-E. If you went to that, a little bit more expensive. And then they have some other ones, Whisper, those kind of things. But I think if you build something on the chat API using GTP 3.5, I think you can build an app that can capture the imagination of the hiring manager. It's pretty slick. So to take my analogy of going on a date here, now we've went from I'm going to just wear a T-shirt to where now I'm putting on a nice jacket, over the T-shirt or something like that. And I'm looking fancy because I'm using what's hot, what's trendy, and what's new. But the functionality is still going to solve a problem. It's still going to do the same thing. So we think we've seen this, and true story, we had something else that we were building. Should we tell this story or should not? Just shake your head no.
Right. No, I think we can tell it.
All right, we can tell it.
We can tell it.
So we have, obviously we're in the bootcamp market, and we built an AI app over the last month and a half or so like that, where I was working on something and we thought it was really cool. And it was going to create movie pitches where you type in a genre, some actors, and it create a movie pitch. And we called the app Movie Pitch.
Yeah.
And so I was actually kind of recording it. We were on the phone yesterday. We were looking for ideas and things like that. And Kevin says, man, this other bootcamp released a movie pitch app this morning. And it looked the same. It had like the same kind of logo, and it did exactly what ours did. So we're retooling ours.
It was a little bit different, but
different.
It was similar enough.
Where everyone accused us of copying someone else's idea. So
I was like, now we're going to change it.
Co-founder, we do pride ourselves on making original ideas with original apps that perform a function. And so we've got a different one where we're going to do something with recipes. And so after looking at it, where I'm retooling it with recipes, I'm like, oh, this has more utility than a movie script app. Whereas before, the movie script app would come back and was like, okay, this is a Tom Cruise movie, but it looks like a plot of one of his other movies. So The AI was actually, a lot of plagiarism was going on inside
It
the
was
AI.
funny though. You could make some
It
very
was
funny
funny.
movie
It
plots
was
with
funny.
it.
Yeah, it was very.
Bobby and I spent like half an hour at one point putting in movie things into it to
Yeah.
create like the craziest thing that it could come up with. And we had one, and I think it was, I can't remember who was in it. I think it was Tom
It was
Cruise.
Dwayne Johnson and Tom Cruise.
Okay, Dwayne Johnson and Tom Cruise. And the setting that we set it in was a bathtub, and it was a CIA action movie in a bathtub. And it literally came up with a plot for this thing. And it was pretty funny. What was it called?
Yeah. Bubble Trouble.
Bubble Trouble. Even the name was good. We were laughing at this thing. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was, the idea itself is still good. I do still like the idea. And we may still put out our version of it. We're just not going to put it out yet. We've built it. It exists. We just,
So what we're going to do instead, we're going to pivot, and we're going to make something called AI Chef, and AI Chef will generate recipes in our initial testing. Does a really good job. So hopefully soon you'll be able to build that out. And we think that follows our guidelines is a third-party API. We're going to solve a recognizable business problems like what do I cook for breakfast or what do I cook for dinner? I need a recipe. People looking for recipes all the time, so it doesn't solve a recognizable problem. The result can be easily verified, which means I look at it, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a recipe for peanut butter and jelly. Okay, I get it. Yeah, okay, that's kind of neat. So we think that's the other class of project you should do. I think you should build something on OpenAI, and we'll show you how to do it here very soon. But if you already know how to consume third-party APIs and you have any problems getting, what the endpoint looks like and the models and all this stuff to make it work.
that's the thing. There's just some nuances, isn't there? They're a little bit different with this. It has some
well,
things that
yeah, a
aren't
little
necessarily they're not intuitive until you read upon the documentation, right? You're like, oh, I understand what that is now. It's some weights and things you can kind of give it, and some.
Yeah, it's a chat message object, and what's a system message, what's a user message, those kind of things. We're going to go through that complexity of how do we really use this and build it out. So I think that's a good idea. So I would build a project right now if I was looking right now and I want a front end focused project and I want a third party API, I would pick OpenAI to do it, and I would do it. Now, here's the one caveat that I will say is don't make a chatbot.
Yeah, don't slap a front end on just the interface.
Yeah. So it's got to do something newer than that. In other words, ChatGPT is a chatbot. We don't want to just make that or chat with Bobby or chat with Kevin and then talk to Bobby about coding. And that's not what we want to do. Unless you're going through the effort of training the models and you're doing embeddings and those kind of things. I think if you could come up with something unique, that's then you want to do it. So one idea, here's a couple of ideas that you could do. If you can use embeddings and upload a PDF and have the PDF train it and then ask questions about the PDF, kind of cool. Summarization of multiple things would be kind of cool. Maybe URLs or articles, things like that can be kind of cool. Obviously, movie pitch was a fantastic idea because 2 boot camps came up with it at the same time. So
exactly. Definitely a good idea.
In a vacuum. I mean, a total vacuum.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool. Recipes is the one we landed on. We think that's a good idea, where you could build a recipe generator based on ingredients in your kitchen or something like that. I have no idea what to cook, but I got these 5 things. What can I make? So those are kind of where it solves a problem. There could be other things. You could look at maybe construction, building things. I don't know how to do something, and then niche it down and let AI handle some of the complexity for you. I think that could be really good.
Right.
So, got any comments or questions or anything? Or I know you're looking. So.
Let me see here. No, I'll come back. There's a question, but I'll come back to that at the end.
All right.
Talk about
if you got any questions about the projects, just go ahead and ask Kevin. Kevin will queue them up, and then we can we'll answer anything we want to do specific since we're live here. Any kind of information we can give you. Here's the thing about this YouTube channel that I will, before we get to the next one, Kevin, is I know that we're talking about Coder Foundry, but if you're out there and you can't afford Coder Foundry, or you don't have time to come in full time, or whatever it is, these projects work regardless of where you go to whether you come to the school or not. So a point of our channel is to help you find a job. So happens that we teach people how to code, and I think we have really good ideas, but we're sharing our ideas with you, and so you can build them out yourself. So hopefully, it helps somebody out there.
Exactly. Okay, let's go to our next app then. This is more of a front end app.
Front end.
So
okay.
this is Ryan's mortgage account, but he has called his This New House.
this new house. Okay.
A little.
So it's got a logo here, and he built a landing page. So you can see here, here's another kind of thing we teach in Code Foundry. And this is more portfolio than project. But you can see there, he's got his stuff down on the bottom where you can contact him. So he's taking credit for his apps, which we tell people to do. And then he has an app page, a code page, a repo page. So we can walk through that real quick.
Yeah.
So
go check out the app first.
yeah, so this allows you to enter in a monthly payment. So let's put in $15,000, and it's a small house, right? So,
It's a car. I mean, that's
tiny house, yeah, tiny
car.
house. Yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah, it's not even an electric car. Like electric car, you need to add another zero. But
yeah,
like
exactly.
and then if you did a car loan, 15,000 terms would be in months, would be 60 months. A 5-year loan is kind of standard, and I don't know what rates
you
are.
got
now,
a really good interest rate, let's say
3.5, something like that. Probably realistic.
It won't let me put in. Oh, it won't let me put in point anything. He's got whole numbers in here.
Yeah, he's rounding those babies up.
I guess.
So, there you go. All right, so like this gives you $269 your mortgage payment, principal, interest, and cost, and then it gives you an amortization schedule on the bottom of it and shows you all the payments. So this is easily recognizable, solves a problem. The guy can put his own mortgage in here, $300,000 or whatever he wants, and 30 years is 30 times 12. It's 360. Is that what it is?
I don't know. Let's just put in that.
Yep.
And this is going to be what's mortgage rates these days? They're all around this, aren't they? 4, something like that.
Yeah, that's probably
what a realistic kind of payment would be.
Yeah, $1,400 a month. You know how much interest you're gonna pay, $200,000 in interest, and so you're gonna end up paying $500,000 for the house over the life of this 30-year loan. So I think we got it right. How many months do we get there? And it shows them all.
Long way down, all the way.
Yeah, there you go. So it solves a problem, easily recognizable. This is completely JavaScript, completely front end, and so this is useful. There are whole sites that are built in and around this. You can go look at Bankrate, and you look at Bankrate if you want more ideas of other types of calculators you could make. There's lots of them out there. They do a lot of things. You could add a graph to this where you could show the point where principal and interest and each part of the payment and how that kind of pushes over how much your payments are interest, how much is that. We also put a code section where if someone doesn't want to download the code from the repo, then just come here and look at how you did it. JavaScript right there. We're using Prism for this, which we like still to this day, and then a write-up about each of the functions.
It's like calling out the different functions, which is cool. It tells you a little bit about what they do, and then the code over here.
Yeah, it's a little documentation. I think this works really well. And then you can like just click over to the repo if you want to, and just hit the repo.
Yeah, which takes
take to his GitHub page, and there it is. So we think all of that kind of works really well. I mean, this project has served us well. People have shown this. This has helped them land a job. They're like, wow, that's kind of cool. The other reason that we do teach this one is some companies, this is their entrance exam to come in to work there. So like we've had this ask students to build this, like, hey, we want you to build a mortgage calculator to do this. So obviously, if you're going to build this at home, you've got to know how mortgages are calculated, how simple interest loans work. So there's a formula behind this that you need to have. But that's easily found. You can Google that easily and go figure out how these are calculated. How does a running balance get calculated? How does the rate get calculated on a monthly basis? And how does the actual payment get calculated? So there's a couple of things that you got to know how to do.
Yeah.
So it's not as simple as it looks off the bat. And that's another reason why this works, because people like, so you figured the math out for that. Kind of cool. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, we will. Stick around. We're definitely going to show you Ryan's. We're going to show you Ryan's bug tracker. You'll see exactly what it is. We'll talk through it, about the technology used and the features that it include. We'll talk about the whole
We're going to tell you a story about how Ryan used it, which is like amazing. So stick around for that, and like how this thing still works today, and people think that because we made a video about it 2 years ago, somehow
right?
The idea
that's like, is that still
2 years is no longer valid?
Well, it's technology. We're in technology, so the stuff moves on quick. I get it.
Right.
Just not ideas tend to stick around, that the good ones do.
Yeah. The wheel stuck around. So,
There
so
you go.
will the
Yeah,
mouse tracker.
yeah. Richard said instead of entering your 5 ingredients, let it keep track of your kitchen inventory and list possible recipes. There's another
There
extension
you
for
go.
it. There's a
That's an
million ways you can
extension.
extend this thing because you could
Absolutely.
attach a database to it then too, right? And have it
You
like
can.
keep your shopping list too. And there's a million ways you
Yeah,
could think
you
about
could
that.
integrate it to Instacart and let it go ahead and buy them and purchase them and have them delivered to your house. There's a lot of things that you could do. The central piece of this is AI that says, okay, here's the ingredients, here's the things you can make.
Yep.
A lot of times AI will also suggest additional ingredients. And so like you could say, oh, okay, I don't have that. Let me go kick off to Instacart and go grab that and bring it in. So there's a lot of things you could do with this to make this thing really where you can make not only an app that would impress an employer, but you might probably charge for it in the marketplace. There's a lot of people
Right.
doing things like this that are charging you $1.99 or $5 or $20 a month for you to, have access to their AI chef. So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Perfect idea.
Yeah, definitely. Let me see. Someone's asking if there's a place you can find APIs. There is.
Rapid API.
Is it Rapid API?
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a list somewhere too.
And there's a lot of lists out there.
I found a really good GitHub repo at one point that had a really good list on them.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Let's show this real quick. So this is Rapid API. What was the largest?
Yeah, so you don't have to use their thing. You can just use that thing to look at their the APIs they have. I'm not sure why you have to sign up for this, but you can just
I'm not
discover and evaluate, integrate.
Okay.
So, but I mean, it tells you kind of like what's out there. They do charge for something. I'm not sure what it's for, but it can like integrate a bunch of APIs together under one key somehow.
Okay,
but I just use it to get ideas.
They have a free plan. So even if you do have to sign up, they have something for free. Discover and subscribe to thousands of APIs. So there you go. So they'll give you the API list if you have a free account. So, but there is also a repo somewhere that I've seen, a GitHub repo, and I can't remember what it is. I have it bookmarked somewhere that has a bunch of these.
We'll put it in the description here later. If you're watching this, we'll add it to the description.
Yeah, I'll try and add it back into the description. Yeah.
So it'll be down there in the description later on today. But the GitHub, there was a GitHub, the guy had shown a lot of APIs that he thought were kind of cool for projects.
Yeah, there's a ton of good
stuff. One of them's Pokemon. Don't use that. So
I'm telling you right now, the Open API one's the way to go.
OpenAI is the best one out there right now to use. It's pretty simple to use. DALL-E's probably the only image API out there right now. So if you're looking at Midjourney's into Discord. You're gonna have to do some shenanigans to pull things out of Discord.
Somebody's tried to make their own kind of version of it, and it's like it's not. Yeah, you want a first-party API, something that's going to be reliable. You're trying to get a job based on this. You don't want to have like demo failure when you show up to show somebody.
Yeah. So maybe there's a way to have the Discord API, and you can go read the results coming back, but then you got to find your result. So it's like it's kind of weird. I don't know how you would do that yet.
DALL-E is good enough to make a proof of concept thing for this because you're showing that you're creating a unique piece of art or a unique image based on whatever context you're talking about in your app. So think about how you could use that.
Yeah. So here's what I would say: the weaknesses of DALL-E right now is like if it's it's got people in it, it's pretty weak. It's not very good.
Weak. Yeah.
Once you move into like subject matter, which would be like food, it does a really good job. Cars, bikes, things like that. Even though the bike or the car won't be a real car.
Yeah, you can't make it. You can't make it look like a Ferrari. It will not do a Ferrari. It'll do a sports car.
Yeah, exactly. That's a Ferrari and a Volkswagen kind of meshed together.
Exactly. It's got like the body panels of a Ferrari and the roof of a Volkswagen and the wheels of a truck. Like it doesn't really. It just throws all these things together and they end up looking kind of weird, but it'll look kind of like a sports car. It's good enough.
So I will say this: one thing of note, if you're using DALL-E, it is more expensive than Chat. So if you're building an app, just know that you do have some expense involved in doing this. I will say this too: Chat GTP 3.5 is like
cheap and fast,
100 times cheaper than 4,
and 100 times faster.
Yeah, don't get sucked in like I need to use 4. 4 is priced as don't use this.
100% it is. Yeah, it's priced at this is cutting edge. Like we don't really want you to like mass use this yet. I'm sure it'll drop down. But right now, 3.5 is the.
So it's like 0.002 versus 18 or 20 cents a query. So like
Yeah.
It's very inexpensive to do 3.5, whereas 4 is kind of real expensive. So for you, a student, and you're out there learning, you want to have this app to the world, show it to the world, and you just want to demo the crap out of it, then use 3.5. It'll work
And the chances
great.
are 3.5 will give you a good enough result too for whatever you're using it for. We've
Some
not
things
noticed
it's
much of a
better,
difference.
actually.
Yeah.
Some things it's actually better. Like there's a lot of times where some things are just better. It does it better. But it doesn't really matter how well it does it on the edges, the edge cases. It's like, can it hit it down the middle of the park, and can it do can it generate a recipe?
Yep.
The answer is yes. Can it generate, a movie plot? Yes.
Yep.
Could 4 do it better? Maybe. How do you tell what's better or what's not? That's some of that stuff can be real subjective.
It is. It definitely is. It's good enough, definitely, to make an app out of, for sure. 3.5 is. The issue you have with them is like it does take a second for it to come back. It's not. Neither of them are. I mean, 3.5 is significantly faster than 4, but 3.5 alone takes a minute because it depends on how much text it's generating, right? If you're asking for something like a movie plot and it's going to feed you back 4 paragraphs of text, if you've used ChatGPT, you know how long that can take to generate.
30 seconds.
Well, using the API does not make it any faster. It's just generating it on the back end, and then once it's generated it sends it through to you in one message. So it's still slow, but
yeah. And so one thing you need to figure out is like whatever platform you're using, we use Web API on ours, so we can call everything async. You need to figure out your async programming so that it doesn't type the UI when it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. You need to give notification to the user like, hey, this thing's thinking, AI chef is thinking, the movie plot generator is thinking. So if you don't do that, it just looks like it's broke. And then suddenly it comes back, because it takes 30 seconds to a minute sometimes, depending on what you're doing. It's not fast.
Yep. I have seen this, Kopo, by the way, too. He's like, you get a Honda Accord, or like, what's that other like rice Accord they have that the kids have that they race around. They put these body kits on them, make them look like actual sports cars. It's like you look and it's like, hold on a minute, that's a Volkswagen Polo. It's like,
is that what we should do, Kevin? Should I just go buy a junker VW Bug, put a Lambo body kit on it, and take pictures of it in front of Coder Foundry, and like, you too can be a coder?
That's it. That's
it. Sharp bought me this Lambo.
We just have to be like this Lambo, like Yeah, I think that's great. Okay,
speaking of Lambo, I have to tell this story, but like I remember watching a thing, and Gary Vee was, Gary Vee is. He was on channel. He's a large influencer. He's on a big stage.
Yeah.
I remember when this kid got up from our realm. He's a coding influencer or whatever it was, and he goes, "I just want to show my success. Before I'm successful, should I go ahead and buy the Lambo first, just so people know that I'm successful?" If you ever find this, Gary Vee's response is like golden.
Oh, I can imagine the first words out of his mouth were not safe for work.
No, it was the F-bomb. So, but like,
yeah, that's funny.
It was just so funny. So,
that's funny. Yeah, that's it, Ridge Raider. Honda Civic. I couldn't think of
Honda Civic.
Yeah, Honda Civics. Yeah, Honda Civics. That's funny. Okay, you want to move on to our fourth app then?
Yeah.
Let's talk about a blog. Why is a blog good? Let's go look at Ryan's blog.
Yeah, so he's got a rock. There's Brian's good-looking Brian's face there. Ryan's face there. Look at that. So he's got some articles in here. This thing's called The Humble Actor. He branded it. And so we advise people to write real articles. We try to get them to write 30 while they're in the class. So I don't know how many he did. Got several in here. Not bad. Okay. So pretty cool.
Yeah. Page 8.
So here's a couple of things that I think is important about a blog. Number one, solves a recognizable problem that people can look at and read. Number two, if you're posting out your blogs to other social platforms or whatever, it can bring visibility to you as a developer. This is a real thing. Number three, it shows expertise in a particular topic. And if someone happens to read your blog article on dependency injection that we're showing here, and they learn something, wow, you're more than likely to get hired. So that's kind of cool. So like, there's a lot of reasons why we want you to build a blog. Now, the other thing is building your own blog system versus Medium or DevTO or what's the other one, Hashnet or whatever it is. there's a lot of these out there, and you're probably thinking, why do I need to build my own? Because it shows expertise in building the platform itself. It's not behind a paywall. You can control whether there's ads or not on it. There's a lot of things you can do by controlling your own platform, and then you can push it out. So I think there's a lot of benefit to this that is really kind of underrated. And I think this is one of those meta strats where we get students to push these out to things to people and push them out on LinkedIn, push them out on Twitter.
I was wondering,
cool.
do we build this app as like multi-author?
It can be,
You know?
yes.
Okay, that's what I'm wondering, because he just said, like, I saw a thing on here that was like about this like author or whatever. I thought,
Yep.
oh, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so we have multi-author. Ours is what a multi-tenant platform where multiple authors can come in. You also can bring authors in and work on your blog if you want to. So like
Okay.
they can come in and work on the Humble Hacker, or someone can come in and create their own platform as well. So it's
Okay,
pretty
yeah, that's
neat.
what I was wondering. Yeah, and like another author on the same blog.
Not to mention, you also can make a separate blog. So there's two things that you can do. You can
Okay.
have multiple blogs, or you can have multiple authors on a blog.
Okay, I like it.
So
Yeah, cool.
we're looking at platform at Coder Foundry. We look at solving enterprise problems, and it's to take it that one little step further that pushes it into the pro category. Like, oh, so how do you figure that out? We also have roles in there for commission for if you want to comment an article, you got to register, and then you can be a moderator, which means you can delete comments, but you can't create articles. So there's a lot of
and we build out the comment system, right? It's not like it's
Yes.
using Discuss or anything. It's using
No, we build it out totally custom. So everything about it's custom, and then it shows your ability to write articles that you can use to bring awareness to yourself.
Okay, so what about this question? Ridre says, if you don't feel comfortable writing the blog post, could you add it as a component to the bug tracker as sort of a knowledge base of issues being tracked in the bug tracker?
You could bring them together. We do have a comment system built into our bug trackers already. So like we do, if you look at our method for our madness from Contact Pro to blog to bug tracker, we are taking.
The point isn't the content on the content on the blog post necessarily. It's more about the fact that you have built a blog,
Right. Mm-hmm.
From scratch. There's a lot of complexity to it, really. There's categories and, like
Yeah,
you said,
there's
categories
the
and
editing
authors
system.
and
We
editing
have
and
Tiny MCE that we're using as the editor on the back end. So there's a way for you to craft and write the articles and compose them. So there's a lot to it. It's pretty slick.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, let's move on to the main attraction then, the main project. This is Ryan's bug tracker, which I clicked through really quickly, and it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. So let's look through, just try it out real quick. And so the bug tracker today is still the project that we think, and you can see he's got demos here. You can see he came up with his own name or whatever. Just do admin.
Yep. Well, hold on. Let's go back one step first. Let's talk about like first things first. Like this, this page. Like what? Let's talk through the features,
man. I mean, like it looks like you could buy it.
Look at this thing. These tabs are super good. Like this is like
exactly
super well designed. I like this a lot. This is really good.
So if you can't build this UI on the front end, you can always get a template and put a template on it. That's what we tell people to do. He's got some screenshots in here, and these are real screenshots from the real project. Now, what I want people to understand is when you're building out this homepage, if you use a template, don't use the template coding. I've seen people put a template on, and then the actual content is nonsense. Like it doesn't apply to the bug tracker traced. So you've got to use a template and then modify all the content to make it sure that it makes sense in the context that's being presented. So if you go down here, these are screenshots from his actual app down here. Pretty cool.
Yeah. And then when I do go to try it out, you're right. We get a login page, which I could log in. I could set up an account if I wanted to.
Yeah. And what it would do is make a bug tracker for you.
Right.
It's kind of cool. So this is multi-tenant, which means that you can have a company that runs in the bug tracker, and then that company can invite users that you could log into and create a company and then invite users to your bug tracker. And so the demo project is the demo admin company that's been set up for Ryan's use to demo this. Now, what we do, the reason we use demo admins right here is because no one's going to sign up for your app if they don't know who you are and they don't think it's real. So they're just going to hit the demo. It gives a low friction way for them to show your project. So once you're in here, you can look at the tickets and the unassigned tickets, the totals, how many active projects he has. Um, so pretty slick. So you can click on, and this is the dashboard. And so what we're doing is making graphs that makes sense for the data. It's not a graph just to have a graph. It's got a graph that has to be useful. So we have project's priority. We got the members. We have the ticket status. Is it open? Is it closed? What is it? And tickets priorities, like is it medium,
So
high, or whatever. And we
what
always laugh at the priorities because the priority is always high. So,
what does this use? What technology does this use for this graphing?
we use a lot of chart libraries, but I think this is Apache charts.
Okay.
It could be Chart.js, but like Chart.js or Apache charts. There's another one that we've used as well. What we try to get people to do is pick one chart library, not three, just one.
Right.
And sometimes the templates they go buy or purchase or whatever may come with a chart library, and we may even flip it out from there. But a lot of times they've customized the template and the chart library to have the right colors.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of technologies here.
Yeah, this is it looks cool, doesn't it? He's got some other ones down
Yep.
here: tickets versus developers and project.
Yep.
Okay, well that's an interesting chart too. It's actually like means
Yeah.
something. It's like, okay, this project here is probably understaffed. He's
Exactly.
got 30 tickets and only 3 devs, whereas this one maybe is 3 devs for 8 tickets. Maybe this one's overstaffed. I don't know. Move one of these guys over here. He's got much more work on this building this application tracker.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
cool. That's super interesting. Then he's
The
got
main projects. So the guy asked like, "Hey, what's a bug tracker have?" So it's got a dashboard, and then there's the concept of a project, and
okay.
a project is a collection of developers and tickets. And in here we have the project homepage, and so it just shows you some initial tickets, and so you can
Yeah, this shows
or
who the
the
team's attached to it, the progress that
yeah
it's made, the start date, the
yeah
end date, some little information.
yeah
I can click on it, that'll give me more information about it.
yep. hmm Right.
Um,
And so in the class here, one of the things that we're rolling out this code in the current cohort is that they're having to track their progress in the bug tracker. So they keep track of tickets, and then they have to finish those tickets out. And a lot of times it's while it's under construction. I get this question all the time: how can I track tickets in a bug tracker that doesn't exist yet? You got to keep track of the data, and then you put it in at the end. But typically by the end of the class, they have a bug tracker that's probably 90% there, and they can track everything that they need to fix. And so we'll put tickets in there. Hey, fix this on portfolio, fix this on your address book, fix this on your blog, fix these 10 things in your bug tracker, and then they can use it to close issues out.
Jacob said those charts are Morris charts, by the way.
Morse charts, okay. Morse, Apache, and what's the other one? Chart.js is the 3 libraries that we use, depending on what look of the charts you like the best. They all have unique looks.
Okay. Then
So,
there's tickets down here at the bottom left.
yeah, pretty slick.
I can click.
Yeah, and this is like you can pick the project you want to be on. You can manage the roles in here, so you can put member roles in here. So assign a role to a
Okay.
person.
I can look at archive projects.
If you deleted any,
okay.
you can create a brand new project. Upload a avatar for the project.
Okay.
Start date, end dates, those kind of things. So like it's a pretty full featured bug tracker. And this is why it works, because like a lot of times when I see people making bug trackers outside of Coder Foundry, it's super simple, and it's not like a bug tracker. It's a to-do list.
It's a
This
to-do
is
list that they've like kind of
more than that.
repurposed. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this is way more than that. So this shows you that you've thought through what is the problem that a bug tracker is trying to solve, and this is the thing that we do. So we have a comment system in here. We have a thing for attachments. We also have a history component where if things are changing, that's an audit trail feature, not as important as like comments, but like sometimes you want to know if a project has changed or whatever.
Well, that's cool.
Yep.
Attach files. Here's the other thing too. If I log out of this, by the way, and I go in
Mhm.
as a submitter,
Yeah.
I
You
have
have
different
less that you can do.
I have different roles now, right? I can't
Yep.
do as much here.
You can basically create a ticket.
I can look at tickets, right? But I can only really create a ticket, right? I'm a ticket submitter.
Yep. And you can't
That's the other
change
thing.
the status of a ticket to closed and things like that.
I can only see my
They have different
projects
roles.
too, which
Yep.
which I'm not. I don't apparently not on any.
So you can see the project list has changed now.
Yep. Yeah, and look how easy that is to kind of like navigate around too. That's kind of cool from a user perspective.
Easy to demo.
This is quick too.
Even for you to demo. So like if you want to demo this to somebody during the interview setting, we're going to talk about this in a second. The demo allows you to quickly do this. Now, what we also do is we see this with the demo account with information, so that if someone comes in and uses this and jacks your data up, you can just rerun the seed method and it resets it. So, so before you go to interview, you reset your seed and you look at it. So it's pretty simple to do. I wouldn't say simple. It's a complex feature that we teach people how to do, and I think people leaving the bootcamp think it's pretty simple. But if you're looking at this from home, you're like, wow, that's a lot. It is.
Right.
It's a big project.
I think this is one of those things where if you think about each of the individual features, it's like, oh, that's a simple things, and it amounts up to just be this like giant thing. I think which seems really complex, but
so
we kind of break it down,
really
right?
Cool. So let's talk about Ryan a little bit. So Ryan has left the bootcamp about 2 months ago. He was in the previous bootcamp, so whatever that was, 60 days or whatever.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of interview requests. And he had a lot of interviews. He really worked his tail off on trying to find opportunities for himself, work well with our in-house recruiters to make sure he gets to every opportunity. And he failed some interviews. And we'll just be upfront. He failed some. He didn't get some. He wasn't qualified for some, according to them or whatever. But he kept after it. And so he's interviewing at a company. And he's interviewing for probably a level above where he's at. So he's coming in, just to full disclosure, Ryan... And I'm not laughing at him. I'm just laughing with him. And he understands this. He was a preacher, Sunday morning preacher, and he converted to a coder. So when you look at like, I used to do this, now I do that, that is about as far as from coding as you can get, really far away,
Yeah.
So, but he does have good communication skills. He's super positive, and those things helped him a lot. So he's in the interview, and he got into this company that interviewed him. They liked his work, and they liked his resume or whatever. And we engineered an interview for him, but they were looking for someone a little higher, like a senior, like a mid-senior person. And when they were interviewing, they said, okay, he took a coding test. He passed the coding test. He went through all the hoops, and then they interviewed him, and they said, well, you know what? You just don't have much experience, Ryan, so we think that you should maybe come back later. We were looking for someone a little higher. And he goes, well, before I leave, I don't know. I'm paraphrasing here. I wasn't in the conversation. He says, can I just show you, did you have a chance to look at my work on my portfolio? And they're like, no, we didn't really look at it. And he goes, why don't we just look at on my bug tracker? Let me just show you what I built. And he takes that no after he demos the bug tracker. And his own words was like, what Bobby told me would happen when I demoed this exactly happened. And it's not about that I'm a future teller. I want you to say that I have some special knowledge, or I've just seen this a lot. And so this comes from experience. That he said, how long did that take? You built all of this. Did you do that in a team? Did you build it by myself? I built it by myself. Like, okay, wow. And then you start talking about it and like, how does this work and how this feature works? And they hired him. And he took a no and turned it into a yes because he demoed a bug tracker. And I'm telling people, like, it works because they see this project and they're like, I have a bug tracker. I know what a bug tracker is supposed to do. They look at one and they can immediately go, that's a good one. That's pretty slick for one person in 4 weeks to build.
Right.
Okay. You probably can work here. I know you've only been doing this for 3 months. Like, how did you do this? Like, that's crazy. Like, and I think that is what moves the needle in interviews. When you show proof of work, it's a powerful, like, it's really hard for someone to turn you down when you're like, okay, I'm showing you what I can do. Here's what I can do. And then they will give you the benefit of doubt on your experience, background, and everything else that's going on in your life up until this point. They're like, obviously, this guy can code. He built this thing. And so I don't have to look at the resume. I don't have to look at previous job history. I don't have to look at that. I can look at the proof of work. The second thing is showing them something that they know is complicated, they know should work a certain way. And then you do that, it validates what you can do. Like, I can build things because I built this. And that's why we keep telling people, like, if you demo Pokemon at that point, you're still getting a no, because it doesn't solve the business problem. It doesn't resonate with the employer, So it's like the dating. If you show up and not dressed well for the date, and you just don't like talk to the girl or whatever, you talk about yourself the whole time. Don't show them what you can do. You can lose, but you can turn it into a win by showing them something they're interested in. And that's what we're doing here, is that we're showing something they're interested in that solves a problem they have. And then proof of work, bam, there it is. It's hard to deny. And that's why it works. And that's why it will always work 10 years from now, it will be still talking about the bug tracker because people will still have bug trackers where they work. They'll still be using Jira. They'll still be using these other ticketing systems.
Well, the AI will be,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just AI will take over. You'll just put all your tickets in AI. So
it'll already know. You don't even have to give it a ticket anymore. It'll just know it's broken and knows it needs to
solve them.
There's no, there'll be no bug tracker with Skynet.
So that's our project. So address book. We have blog, bug tracker, obviously, and then mortgage calculator, and then something built on the API. We recommend using OpenAI. Yeah, those 5 types of projects on your portfolio, it's going to go a long way to getting you a job versus if you have these other kind of projects that aren't that impressive. It also go a long way to just getting you to the interview. So you need to use this portfolio to pitch the recruiter, the HR person coming in. And then you need to tell them, I have a portfolio, I have projects. You need to be super brave about doing it. And then when you're during the interview process, you need to make sure that you demo it during it. And you got to be able to talk about it. So you got to practice your demo, and then you got to be able to know the code base inside and out of how you built it.
Yeah, you should definitely have a practice demo. That's the thing a lot of people fail on. They just they'll show up and just, exactly. Have it scripted, have it practiced. You can go off on tangents from your practice demo. That's okay. But if you don't have one kind of ready in a place to start, it's really difficult to kind of talk through. You should be giving this presentation to a bunch of people who are willing to listen to you. Yeah,
your grandma, your dog, it doesn't matter. You should practice this demo out. And then the more you demo, here's my thought. The more you demo, the quicker you'll get hired. I promise you this. It's like if you demo more, you're going to have more success. Demo less success. It's really hard, especially for first-time person. If you don't have proof of work, it's hard for them to imagine that you can do the job. They're projecting into you to say, can he learn this? Can he pick it up? Can he do this? And the answer is, I don't know. And then someone walks in with a demo like Ryan beat out a bunch of dudes for this job. I guarantee it. They interviewed a bunch of people for it.
Yep.
And he won based on this demo. They were going to turn him down, and they made a position for him. Like they hired the senior and him. And so that's what happens. So
yeah,
that's what happens.
Yeah. Crazy cool. We are the bugs are going to Skynet. If you're interested in more Skynet talk, we definitely talk way more about that on the Not Null podcast.
If you're interested in our podcast,
so go look up the Not Null podcast on podcast any podcast player. We're in all
on YouTube too. You can check us out on YouTube.
We're on YouTube as well. We just recorded another one yesterday that was heavy AI again because that's all we seem to be talking about these days on there.
Yeah.
Agreed. we are the buds. Let's see. What's Andy say here? Says, I imagine this is another reason to work with recruiters. If a recruiter has seen your best app, they might be more willing to shortlist and sell you to employers. 100%, Andy. No 100% question.
Right. Give them something to sell. Give me something to pitch. Give them something that they can turn around and put you to the top of the stack with. So it's not just a resume. They're like,
yep.
So when the recruiter calls in, hey, Frank, man, I've got a hot candidate. This guy won't be around long. And so you need to look at it. Check this app out he wrote. That's what they're doing. You have to understand what they're doing on the back end of this. And then that person turns around and it generates an interview. That's what we do. If you want to know why Coder Foundry is successful at getting people jobs, is that we're calling companies and saying, have you seen the app? Have you seen this? Have you seen that? They're worth the time for you to interview. They're way above what you would probably think coming out of a boot camp because of this proof of work. And we keep pitching that until we get a yes. So, but I would imagine if I go back and look at Ryan's success rate, I think he interviewed 4 or 5 times, maybe 4, and he won. I'm just telling you that's not a lot. And people think, we see people out there saying, I've sent out 600 applications and I've interviewed 150 times. I can't win because you don't have any proof of work. I promise you that's
so
what
you do
it is.
something
Every
wrong.
single time we look at it, like portfolios weak, projects are weak or non-existent.
Yep.
I can't.
We've we've even
You have a to-do list on it. Like,
I mean,
got to do
I'll
more
tell
than
you
that.
now, I'm not going to name names, but we've seen multiple people, ones that you've personally tried to help from social media, ones that never ever came to Coder Foundry that we've seen on social media and been like, that dude needs help. And I'll tell you why he needs help, because we looked at it and it's like, wow, and we know why he's saying that, because his projects are weak. And you literally spent an hour talking to this person to say, hey, your projects are weak. Like, this is why you're not getting a job. They didn't go back and fix their projects. They literally quit the job hunt after 600 applications or whatever it was. And it's like, you can put your efforts into the wrong things. You really can. You've got to put your efforts in the right places in this. It's not magic. You have to. It takes work.
Yeah, and these things, it takes a lot of effort, and a lot of times people don't want to put the effort into projects they're pitching to an employer because they
want to build tic-tac-toe and get a job because somebody else did.
So you're thinking. I hear students tell me this. Not students, not Coder Foundry students. These are people on the outside because we've got them into the process here when they come in here, but like they don't want to spend time working on something that they feel like is for an employer. And it's like, no, this is for you. This is for you. The time that you spend building portfolios is building your skills, improving you as a coder, as you as a person. It has nothing to do with the third party or whether the recruiter sees it or not, or put that out of your head. You're not working for another company. You're working for you and building your skills out and making yourself more valuable in the marketplace. So if you're going to spend time on anything, spend it on you. Work on your skills and upskill, not downskill. And don't feel like you're not worth it. You are. Spend time building it. It's a lot of work. It is. And like, we get comments all the time. Well, if I could build that, I'd just start my own company. Well, do it then. Start your own company. Like,
right.
That's what we're saying. Start your own company. No, hire yourself. Like, there's a lot of things in this environment that if you work on you and invest in your skills, you're going to be much more valuable in the marketplace. So that's what
definitely.
I think.
I don't know if you read anything about this. Talk about the state of Maui and rumors of it being defunded. I haven't seen anything about this, but I haven't been looking either.
Maui's not vaporware. You can build stuff right now. No, so here's what you need to understand. Blazor and Blazor app. So there's there's 3 flavors of Blazor now. All right. So, and it's coming out in .NET 8. So let me rephrase this. Maui allows you to build desktop applications and mobile applications right now today. You can do that. It'll build it cross-platform. You can roll it out and you stick it in the Apple Store and you can stick it in there. That technology that they're using to build those front ends with is being rolled into something else, okay? So Blazor is WebAssembly, Blazor Server, Blazor United, and then they're merging Maui and the Blazor projects together. They're just naming it different. It's like Microsoft has the bad habit of like renaming things. It's not going anywhere. It's absolutely not vaporware. It absolutely works. But Blazor United is a way for us to build websites that use WebAssembly and backend components. And I can connect the backend component with SignalR, or I can tell that component to render itself in WebAssembly. And before I had to choose which paradigm I want. The other thing that I can do is Blazor can also be deployed to a desktop. It can also be deployed to a mobile app. Kind of cool. Maui writes a native application that can be deployed to a desktop or to a mobile app. 2 different technologies. They may join these things at the hip where they do the same thing, but it's like how it's deployed is important. I would say if you're building a mobile app today, it needs to run native. So you need to have native controls running native and to get it into the app store. So it needs to run like an Apple app should. It needs to run like an Android app does. That's Maui right now. So it's not vaporware.
Okay.
Hopefully that helps. I mean, there's a lot to it. So like that's but Blazor United is something we're really excited about in .NET 8. That'll be out later in this year.
Let's see. What's this? The Skynet General Population Terminator, aka Skynet GPT. Who's going to be the first to make Skynet GPT? Does that exist yet? Is that like?
I'm sure it does, man.
I'm sure it does, right? Somebody done Skynet GPT. Yeah. If not, somebody needs to put that up quick. Skynet GPT. Oh, it does. Somebody's already made it.
Yeah.
Tell me someone's funding.
Cyber9 Systems.
Skynet GPT said that it became self-aware at 2:14 a.m. Eastern Time, August 29th. That's funny. Oh, that's great. Let's see. Refrigerator says Maui will have more local permissions than the Blazor.
Yeah, because it runs natively. Yeah.
I was mentioned at MVP conference that they were struggling with funding and can't get any more. Maybe that's because it is being rolled into something. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know.
Maui struggling for funding?
I don't know. But like you said, if it's rolled into something, maybe it's a misunderstanding about.
It's how they're naming it and how they're packaging it. Like, it's not they're struggling for funding, man. I mean, like, this is Microsoft.
And they just give OpenAI $10 billion.
Yeah, they have a barbecue in the back and they light the fire with dollar bills. I mean, like, they don't burn wood, they burn $100 bills. So they have lots of money. They can do whatever they want. And this is why they're doing it. Now, what you're seeing is communication. They have definitely pivoted to where Copilot everywhere, Copilot everything. And if you look at Microsoft General Press, they're just talking about OpenAI and that investment and how that's working. They're selling you products. If you look under the covers and read the .NET blogs and the people that are building things, Maui's a big thing. Blazor's a big thing. Those are the things that they're really working on. And it's really just a name of something. So Blazor's just a name. It doesn't really have anything to do with WebAssembly or both. It runs on both platforms now. So it's just a name of something. It used to mean something less and less. It's kind of, they'll probably rename the thing.
Yeah, we know they're great at names.
Yeah.
Gonzalo says a store to do app. This is a comment from earlier, by the way. Yeah. This was kind of early on the thing, but I like the thing here.
Yeah.
Sort to do app in which every task or subtask could have any amount of subtasks was really cool.
Sure. Yeah.
So like nested to do apps, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So like if you want to say subtask, lose weight, and then you have subtasks down there, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing with like things like a to-do list.
Protein,
you can
no bread, work out, drink
right.
water every day.
Well, that's the thing with to-do list. You can have like these extensions of the idea. It doesn't just have to be a list, a singular list of things.
Yes.
If you can brand it somehow, if you can put some kind of packaging on it, if you can do this where it's multi levels kind of is an extra thing. Like, think through like a use case and try and build that.
Solve it. So the reason I meant bring up to-do lists, and because the ones we see from other competitive boot camps or tutors or whatever, is you'll see it. Task 1, task 2, task 3, and you have a button. You can enter another task. It's not branded, doesn't solve a problem. It's useless. Like, it's just kind of crazy. That's the pinnacle project that you get coming out of college or whatever. And like, it needs to do more than that. And so like, you have to come up with a reason for this thing to exist. It's got to solve a problem. Shopping list, make it a shopping list. It's a lot better, like that kind of stuff. Make a recipe app. I mean, it's a to-do list of ingredients and steps, so like, just brand it, make it better. Don't make it a to-do list. Rebrand your to-do list. It should be number one. No.
Is masters required to get a good job in the US? No. Hope not.
No. No.
No. I mean, and especially in technology, it's one of the best areas not to have a degree in, to be honest, because it's skill based. Skill based
and like. So
there's no regulation around it. I should say skill based, and there's no regulation saying you have to. You're not like a doctor, right?
Right.
Like, you want your doctor to have a master's, PhD, and everything, like, and his doctorate and everything, right? You want that. You want him to have done 10 years of education. Your computer programmer, nah. Does he know how to code? Can he build an app? It's literally that simple. And
then when you say define good job, I mean, I'm assuming you're talking about just in technology jobs and programming jobs. No, you don't need a master's to do anything in the US. But, if you want a broader thing, what is a good job? A good job that pays you well and something you like to do. That's a good job. So that could be electrician, it could be plumber, it could be programmer, it could be nurse. Nurse, you got to have various degrees of education, depending on what level of nurse you are as you go up. Doctor, obviously, you got to have 8 years of residency, and you got to, you're not 35 years old and you can be an actual doctor. But those require a lot more training. Programming, we can break in without a degree in computer science, without a degree in programming, without a master's degree for sure. You need to demonstrate proof of work. Are there some companies out there that says we only hire masters? We've run into them. We just check them off the list and move on.
Yep.
If you're going to,
But
because
that is not the majority. That is the
it's not the
definite
majority,
minority.
it's the minority people. And then what I would say is, and I've talked to them a lot, I'm like, well, you know that everyone on your staff self-taught. It's like, no, we went to a computer science and master. When was that? 20 years ago. Okay, everything you've learned since then, you've self-taught yourself. So that's the nature of being a programmer, is that you have to self-teach yourself how to do whatever it is we're doing today, because what you learned in college in 1988 is irrelevant to what we're doing today. I was writing assembler in college, and it's like,
Yeah, get a job in that today.
I mean, maybe I could, but like, I don't know. I never did it professionally. We learned a lot of COBOL in college. I never did it professionally ever. I mean, so like, and the amount of languages that I've learned since then, I've had to self-teach myself all of them. So
Right.
I believe that 95% of all programmers, and it's probably really close to 100, are self-taught in some way, form, or fashion. I mean, they weren't even dreaming about JavaScript if you went to college in the 90s.
Right.
So anyway,
Yep.
it's what I think. So don't let that deter you from trying to get a job. I mean, don't let that, a lack of degree to keep you from getting a job, because plenty of people are going to take that seat from you.
Yeah, because here's what happens sometimes, though, that you have that feeling like, oh, I don't have a degree, and you go to one, we've seen this, you'll go to one interview, the person will say, well, we can't hire you because you don't have a degree, and that's it. You then quit, and it's like you hit the one that said it, and it's like, well, they've kind of proved your point or your bias already, your negative bias, and they've proved it now, so it's like, well, that's it then. Every job out here needs a degree. I just wasted my time, and it's just not true.
We see that on Twitter because someone got turned down. You're going to get turned down in the interview process. You're going to lose. You just need to win one. And that's what we try to coach students on. And we can't win every interview that we go to, especially starting out. So we got to keep interviewing, improving our game every single time. Demo. And eventually you're going to find a company that says, okay, I'll hire you. Like, that's what I'm looking for. I need someone who can demo. Plenty of people have been hired without a master's in computer science.
Definitely. Let's talk about this one last thing real quick.
Yeah.
Because he wants to know how many projects you have on his showcase on your portfolio. Only feature projects, like 4 or 5, and that's it. Or should I set like 3 projects for different tech stacks, etc.?
I think it's a good idea to feature a project and then have other ones surrounding it. So if you've got 4 or 5, put them on there, as long as they're not dumb. All right. So if you got 4 or 5 really good projects, then feature one. That's what I would do.
I would say curated is better than uncurated too. Yeah. Like, just because you've made tic-tac-toe, just because you've made tic-tac-toe does not mean you should put it on your portfolio. I've seen ones with like, we've reviewed some before when we've done portfolio reviews, like 35 projects. I don't even know what to click on. And half of them are just like these small projects. I would rather just see, if the options, if I have 2 options and it's 1 good project or 35, like, and I don't know what to do, I'd go with the 1.
1 is better. 3 or 4 is really good because
I'd say, shows, 3 to 5 is kind of ideal, isn't it?
You've done some stuff, and so you can roll those on and off. You don't have to show 15 or 20.
You have to remember that you want to show your best work, because what's likely to happen is if somebody comes to your portfolio, you don't necessarily 100% know what they're going to click on, right? You can kind of make them click in a certain way by using weights and using a larger image for the project you want them to click, or putting it top left corner or whatever it is.
Putting arrows to it. Like
exactly. You can kind of have that. But if you have kind of like a bad project on there that you're not kind of proud of, take it off.
Yeah.
You don't want them to click on that one project and that be your representation of your work, because they may only click on one project.
Right.
And then it's bad. They're just going to move on. They're going to spend at most minutes looking at your stuff on their own, right? They may spend more time with you in person because you're going to kind of walk them through it and it's going to be kind of cool. But on their own, they're going to spend at most minutes. You don't want those minutes to be looking at projects you're not proud of. Only put stuff on your portfolio you want them to look at.
Yeah, so Kevin, we call that the soft no. The soft no is they look at your portfolio and they pass and they bring you into an interview.
Yep.
So like, if you're showing your portfolio to people and you're getting no feedback on it, something's wrong with that portfolio that's keeping you from getting an interview request. And usually it is misspellings, portfolios designed bad, or the projects just are weak or non-existent.
Yep.
So
I mean, if you have one project and it's a form on a page, which I've seen, that is not going to get you a job.
So we saw one guy try to help. His whole project was the contact form
That's what
on
I'm
the
saying.
website.
That's you
And it
still think you're
says,
thinking of the same one I'm thinking of. I
yeah,
guarantee
click
it.
here to submit to my MySQL database, which is like like in other words, like it showed rookiness on a hard level, like
Yeah.
save here to save to MySQL database, which is like, okay, why are you name
But it
checking?
didn't even do anything past that.
No, that's all it did. I mean, like it's a contact form, man. It should send you an email, but like, you know,
Yeah.
but we're name checking the database. It just seemed kind of weird. I would say you don't need to tell them that the form is saved in the database. That should be obvious
Yeah.
of whatever your app does.
Right.
You don't need to
Right.
tell
That should
them
be
that.
abstracted. That's not a
Yeah.
feature. That's
Right.
that's definitely not a feature you would pitch. That's just something that happens. The
Mhm.
feature has to be something that it does, not how it works.
Right. So anyway,
Okay, cool. Let's go get tacos.
let's go get tacos, man. And thank you
Taco
guys.
Thursday.
We'll see you next week. Enter a giveaway. We're closing in here 97,000, whatever. So we'll be 100,000
We are.
one day.
We're close. I don't know why. Oh, I don't see it. It's back there, but I don't see what the number is.
96.8.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
6.8. Okay, we're getting there. Slowly but surely. We need to make more content on here apparently for people to come subscribe.
Yeah.
But yeah, the more subscribers we get, the closer we get to the giveaway. I still need to update that giveaway sheet. It will get updated to the latest stuff. Hey, by the time we give it away, there might even be a
Meta 3.
quest. There might even be a quest 3 exactly.
I know. Yeah.
A Meta 3, whatever they're calling it these days.
Yeah.
Which is coming out soon apparently, end of the year.
All right.
So we'll see.
Good luck, guys. Keep coding. We'll see you later.
Catch you guys later.